This is an R-rated film starring Alexandra Daddario. The movie follows a girl named Margaret who likes to get physical with random strangers, but her life changes as she falls in love with a gangster. In the beginning, we see Margaret trying to walk properly as she has a hangover. She is entering a subway tunnel where a man seems to be following her. He comes close and Margaret tells him to take her to the hotel. Later, we are taken into flashback where we see Margaret going to her job. She teaches English to Japanese flight attendants. She seems to be drunk and forgets to change her clothes from last night. We see that she was in the club last night and came directly to her job. While changing her clothes, her boss comes in to check on her if she is okay. Margaret says she is completely fine. In the next scene, we see her living in a small apartment looking out of the window. Her usual routine is going out with friends and finding random strangers so she can get sexual with them. After a few drinks, she goes to the bathroom where she meets a guy and tries to seduce him. Without any hesitation, she kisses the guy and has sex with him. After drinking a bit more, she leaves the bar and sees a gang member named Kazu. Both notice each other but leave because it was late. Her friends left her to go home, but Margaret went to another bar where she stares at a guy. Later, we see them booking a hotel room to have sex. The next morning, we see Margaret again coming to her job in the same clothes. She can barely walk and her boss tells her to go home and take some rest because she does not seem fine. Margaret goes to the bathroom and her boss follows her. She tells Margaret her past life was just like this, drinking, having sex and enjoying life, but because of this, she never had an actual family. She tries to explain to Margaret that she can still turn her life around. In the next scene, we see her walking in a library where she looks at a book with nude painting. Suddenly, Kazu walks up to her and asks if she likes this artist. Margaret answers yes, and later we see them kissing in a dark hotel room. Before going any further, Margaret tells Kazu to tie her up because she wants to try something new. Kazu agrees to this and does as told to have sex with her. The next day, after coming from her job, she notices Kazu waiting outside her office building with a car. He takes her to a restaurant. Kazu asks her what is she doing in Japan. Margaret simply replies she likes to live alone and that being here she can enjoy her life. As they are talking, a drunkard guy stumbles and bumps into Margaret. She goes to the washroom because she feels weird. When she comes back, all the noise from the restaurant was gone. Everyone was intimidated by Kazu because he was a gang member. After finishing their meal, they both leave and go into the hotel room to have sex. After having sex with Kazu, confesses that he is going to about get married. Margaret gets upset and leaves the room. In the next scene, we can see Margaret getting dressed with her friend. She seems upset, so her friends ask what's going on. Margaret explains everything about Kazu. To make her feel good, she takes Margaret to a bar. The next morning, Margaret receives a book that is the same book she was looking at in the library. Inside the book, we get to see a business card that belongs to Kazu. She contacts him and goes to meet him in a hotel. Both have sex there. Later, we see Margaret going to her office where Kazu stops her to ask if she wants to come with him. She gets excited and agrees to go with him. Before going, some of her students see her going with Kazu. Later, we see them having a good time on train and going to a temple. Kazu tells her this temple will remove all her stress. Coming outside, he asks her how she is feeling, but Margaret explains she does not feel good. Coming back from the temple, Margaret falls asleep. Kazu leaves his jacket on her. The next day, her boss fires her from the job because she took a holiday without any heads up. Margaret tries to convince her boss, but she does not want to hear anything. Upset, Margaret sits outside the building crying. Days go by, but Kazu does not contact Margaret. Her friend visits her to tell her that she is leaving for the US soon. Margaret feels more depressed as she has only one friend in Japan. For one last memory, both go to a bar and enjoy the whole night. The next day, walking down the street, she notices Kazu with his family. When he gets alone, Margaret follows her and confronts him. They both again go into a hotel room to get physical. Kazu is feeling guilty because he thinks that he is using Margaret. He is supposed to get married to another woman, but still he cannot leave Margaret. In the next scene, we see Margaret dancing in a bar for some money because she does not want to leave Japan, but she gets embarrassed and leaves the bar and starts crying. One friend's girlfriend notices Margaret and asks what happened. Margaret later talks to her and vents out. Later, we come to the present scene where we see the Margaret standing with a guy in the subway. She tells him to take her to the room. After going with him, she tells him She likes to have sex in different ways. He ties her up to the bed. In reality, this guy is a serial killer who has done this to many women. Just when he is about to kill Margaret, Kazuo shows up and saves her. Margaret cannot believe her eyes and asks if he was following her before. Kazuo has fallen in love with her, and that is why he was following her. In the end, we see her going to America because she realizes her way of living life is problematic and she needs to focus more on important things. The movie ends here, showing us both Margaret and Kazuo remembering each other. If you like this glimpse, be sure to leave a suggestion for the next video.